Lodovico Gonzaga, Marquis of Mantua, a small but glamorous city-state in northern Italy, sits in a chair while a courtier leans towards him, as though conveying a private message. Below Ludovico's chair sits his loyal dog, Rubino, while courtiers and other members of the ruling family gather beside him. Most prominent is his wife, Barbara of Brandenburg. While she is seated lower and looking towards her husband, she nonetheless commands our attention with her central placement and frontal orientation. More courtiers stand in attendance, managing a seemingly endless train of visitors seeking audience with the Marquis. Painted onto the walls of Ludovico's private bedchamber by the artist Andrea Mantegna in the mid-1400s, this episode suggests a slice of life at an early Renaissance court. So, what is a court? In the early Renaissance, or the period roughly 1400 to 1500, the Italian peninsula was organized into independent city-states, each with their own system of government. Some of these states were republics, like Florence, Venice, and Siena, where governments were run by elected officials. In other territories, like Milan, Ferrara, and Mantua, political power was concentrated into the hands of a single person and his family, who ruled with more or less absolute authority. In a political sense, a court is the space inhabited by a ruler and his entourage of family, officials, and courtiers, including administrators, officials, and ambassadors. The physical court was generally a palace or castle that functioned as the ruler's primary residence, as well as the financial and administrative center of government. The imposing collection of buildings known today as the Palazzo Ducale in Mantua is one of the most extensive sites of its kind to survive from the Renaissance era. In addition to the political and physical realities of a court, there is also the idea of the court as a model of civilized life and refinement, ideas felt today in the word courtesy. The elegant clothing of Ludovico and his retinue, as well as the spectacular architecture and swaths of brilliant cloth that surround them, reflect these values. Rulers wanted to justify and celebrate their right to rule by presenting themselves as noble. A person's nobility could be communicated in multiple ways, including one's dress and manner of speaking, one's dancing and dining habits, one's recreation activities, and one's spending habits. By patronizing works of art and architecture, like this fabulous fresco, or sponsoring pageants and tournaments and hosting sumptuous feasts, a ruler could demonstrate his virtue. The term court originates in the Latin word for an enclosed space, as in a courtyard. And while we may think of a Renaissance court as a close-knit community centered upon a ruler, these were not sealed-off societies. Court life was ever-changing. Notice the long line of visitors wanting to speak with Ludovico? Visitors of all kinds were constantly coming and going, including dignitaries and ambassadors from other courts and urban centers, and personnel changed constantly. Even Ludovico's own bedroom was not private in our modern sense. Palace rooms often served multiple functions, and these richly decorated walls would have greeted Ludovico's family, members of the court, and other important guests in both private and semi-private activities. Courts across the European continent were closely connected. Children of rulers were often sent to be raised and educated at foreign courts, and marriages helped solidify political alliances. Ludovico's marriage to Barbara of Brandenburg is a perfect example. As granddaughter to the imperial ruler Frederick I of Hohenzollern, she was quite the catch for Ludovico. A marquis is a nobleman ranked just below a duke. As marquis of a relatively minor city-state, Ludovico was far below an emperor in social status. This marriage was a move up for him. As Mantegna's painting reminds us, life at court centered on the ruler. Access to him was the key to social success. As court painter to the Marquis, Mantegna was himself in a privileged position, one that he was careful to make note of in this room by including his own features on the wall in a tiny self-portrait. And all those men in fancy clothes waiting to see Ludovico? They'd trade places with Rubino in a heartbeat.